what's happening.
Glorious pre-summer day in Baton Rouge. I guess we can start there. Weather going to be an issue. Obviously, you're monitoring it, but how much does it still affect what you want to do?
Yeah, I think we'll pay attention to it tomorrow. In my 3 years here, I've learned it can change quickly, and we have a kind of a contingency plan, I guess, that the SEC lays out for us. So, hopefully it'll move out of here before it's time to play.
You and Jim get together and talk about options, or any coach, not just Jim, but like options. Is he as involved, or is it really from all time?
Yeah, we really just want to make sure we have a window to play the game and not have it get disrupted, I think. So we usually just communicate as we know and just try to be as accurate as we possibly can be. And, from what I've gathered to this point, from people that know far better than me, it's probably not going to be great, and then it's going to push out before we're supposed to play.
Obviously, the #1 team in the country for a reason. What have you studied about them this week that is why they're so highly ranked?
Yeah, they're a very complete team. I think offensively, they hit with power. They get free bases, run the bases well. From the mound, very left-handed, and then a couple good right-handed relievers sprinkled in there. Throw strikes, and not a lot of holes.
How do you approach the messaging this weekend? Is it first inning? Let's go.
Yeah, I think it's opportunity. I think that's the most important part about it. When you are where we are, I mean, it's a benefit, to have a team with as good a record as they have on your schedule still. And so for me, I look at it that way. I think it's great that the series is at home. And, like I said, I think that the team has been in a good frame of mind, for 2+ weeks, winning 7 out of 9. And, this will be good. This is one of those weekends you're excited about if you play here.
Most people say momentum is just the starting pitcher, but do you take anything from Tuesday?
We had to win. I mean, we had to win the game. There was no anything if we lost that game. So, when you look at it that way, I just thought the approach to it was really good. I think for me, my takeaway is, a lot of guys got a chance to get in there and contribute for a little bit more of an extended period of time than they have. And so that was good to see. Maybe you get some guys that have played a little more rest or off their feet, kind of somewhat of an off day, and then get some guys in there that we think can be good players here. And so for me, that was the best part of Tuesday.
What's Nate's availability for this weekend?
Don't know yet. Won't know till tomorrow.
Who?
Nate.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, just don't know. We'll know tomorrow. Like you don't have to make a decision until turn the lineup card in. He's worked hard on the rehab. You're looking at a senior who's getting down to it. So you guys know the motivation's there to try to get out there and get on the mound. But we won't make a decision on that till tomorrow. And that's not something that's really abnormal. I think it was at Tennessee, and, we made a decision literally who was on, who was off right before I took the lineup card out, So it's just part of it this time of year. I'm sure they have somebody that's kind of in the same boat, and you get them here and see what it looks like that day.
Was it a hamstring deal?
Yeah, hamstring thing. He did it last year and was back in about a week or just over a week. So it was Saturday night. Obviously, if he's available, we'll use him.
Christian Little, we're going to talk to him later.
Yeah, should.
When he came here, it seemed like a mental reset for him, I guess.
Mhm.
And now he's really kind of found probably what makes him happy, right? I guess just could you speak to his journey and maybe the patience needed?
Yeah, I think, I can't quite remember the order of those transfers that, committed to us last year. I want to say maybe he was the first one, or him and Tommy were like right around the same day, maybe even. I thought it would be a big piece. He certainly contributed last year in getting some big outs. Maybe hadn't gotten to the place he wanted to. Felt like it was important for him to come back. very mature decision, when you're drafted, and to kind of spurn that and say, hey, I need to go back and get better. And he has. I mean, he threw 5 1/3 or 5 2/3 scoreless innings last week. And I'm proud of him for staying with it, both individually, and he's been a very good team guy, this year amidst his role and, some of our challenges. And he's pitching his best right now. And very happy about that.
Why do you think he's where he is right now?
I think he's just continued the attitude being good over a long period of time, starting there. And then I think we figured out his pitch mix a little bit and how to use stuff. And he's throwing the ball like he knows where it's going, and belief, in the pitch. That's probably the most important thing, is anytime you get them convicted and believing in what they're doing, the stuff usually plays up, and he has good stuff. I mean, it won't surprise me one bit if he's a major league pitcher someday.
Is he a kind of guy that it's just like a good example of you come out of high school and you're highly talented, maybe things don't work out your way, but you continue to work at it and
Yeah.
continue to, you kind of go forward and
Yeah.
kind of be one of those.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's even more so with him because he graduated early, had a lot of expectations on him. I mean, he pitched in Omaha as a freshman, and, this is not always smooth sailing or what I would call Dylan Cruz model. It doesn't go like that all the time. But I'm proud of him for right now, and he's going to be a big part of how we finish this thing up this year.
You mentioned some of the pitch mix adjustments you've made with him. What are a few of those tweaks that you've made, I guess?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that, and he's not either. So, yeah.
Speaking of pitching, Nate facing his old team. What are the
Can you make sure of that for me too, please, before he comes in here? Thank you.
What are some of the things that, like facing your former team or with Yes?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you
Yeah.
guys are professionals, but
Yeah.
like, is there anything you have to be wary of? I mean,
A better question for him, probably. We have so much on our plate with our own team. Like, I haven't even thought about that, honestly, until you actually just brought it up. I think we're pitching a lot better, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. Like, staying with guys and improving the day in, day out, aligning things better for certain guys. So, I would say, that's probably where a lot of his focus is. But, I'm not sure. I think, when you work with people, you're obviously, and you learn and have successes and some failures, there's obviously a bond there, and I think the good part about it, I guess, from a coaching standpoint is we don't play, we don't execute the pitch or take the swing or field the ground ball or throw it across the infield. And as I get older, like, those things they're fun maybe for people to talk about or fans to talk about, but they don't quite have as much to do with what actually happens in the game. And as I get older, those things are just like, they kind of just blow off my shoulder.
When we were talking with Gage last week after his start, he kind of mentioned that one of the things he's starting to pick up on is how batters are swinging, and him noticing how batters are swinging and being able to kind of adjust to how they swing later in his outing to get outs. just how unique is that for a pitcher to kind of pick that up? And because he didn't really have a whole ton of, like you mentioned, experience.
Yeah, I think that's just it. I probably said this to you guys before, like, the best coach any player ever has in their life is playing time and experience, and baseball is experiential in nature. He's got immense talent. Like, I knew he would be successful here. I think that he's baseball. Like, he's a baseball guy. We have a few of these guys on our team, like, they're consumed with it. And so he's a guy that can take that talent, has the mental disposition. He's made some adjustments, but look into the game and go like, hey, I need to do this. And he's probably right, because he pours, everything he has into it. And it's fun to see the trajectory going where it's going right now.
More about the opportunity. So if you're having success this weekend against the number 1 team in the country, of course, I don't know the difference between them and Arkansas and all these teams you play. I guess any team could be number 1. But if you have success, how can that lead to more success in the final 2 series and confidence maybe down the stretch?
Yeah, I think it's so compartmentalized, and it's very easy to get into that trap. And, it's like, I think we have 10 regular season games left. We're in a 10-game playoff. And I don't think everything is hinging on this weekend for us, because no matter whether we win or we don't win, there's 7 games to play that still are going to have value or importance. So I think kind of trying to balance that that out. I think playing better gives us a better chance. Like, do I believe we have a better chance to be successful in this series today as opposed to like 2.5 weeks ago? 100%. And so I think just playing better and getting settled into it the way that we need to should give us a better chance to be successful, and that's confidence, and I think that's probably where you were going with that. And moving forward, it's just different challenges. One's on the road, one's at home. It's like you can really get into trouble if you're counting wins and all those things and adding external things to execution. And I know it sounds super boring, but I mean, I believe that in baseball to my very core. And so we've tried to like lay it out for them. This is what we need to do. This is what it's going to take, and then get specific into executing so we can have a chance to do some of those things. And, we didn't over a 4-week stretch. We just absolutely didn't against, the best teams in the country. And so now you're fighting a little more of an uphill battle. So you can only do that one at a time. And, for a couple weeks, we've done a good job of that. We're probably 2 innings on the mound away from being 9-0 over the last 9 games. But the reason we've won 7 of 9 is because we're pitching much better.
Josh Pearson, his stat line doesn't really jump off the page, but his career at LSU, he's been really clutch. Why do you think that is?
I think he's got a steady heartbeat. I think he's in control of himself. I don't think, like we were just talking about with the external, like I don't think that has anything to do with like, hey, what I'm trying to do right here. I think, he's an interesting player because you look at the stat line, at least for the last 2 years, and, it leaves a little to be desired. You know what I mean? But then I think about the games we needed to win, as we're in right now, as we were in last week. Like, I'm kind of like always want to play him, because of what you just said right there.
This might be a dumb question, but I'll ask it anyways. Facing a team like A&M that is so dominant with strikeouts, do you change your approach with your team?
I think in general, the less you have to change in terms of what they're looking for and trying to do, the better. Like, so we'll want to stay very grounded in, getting a good pitch to hit, hitting mistakes, battling with 2 strikes, move the ball forward with runners on base. Now, there's certain things guys do that you want your hitters to be aware of to help them recognize them as they're coming, But I think 2 things I've learned for these guys that we have this year on this team, being positive about what we're doing and then keeping things very simple has been a better template. And so we'll probably try to stay there and then make them aware of the things that come along with, maybe a guy that's out there at that time.
Whether your team is on the bubble or securely into the NCAA tournament field at this point in the year, when you get to that final month, is there a common, mental switch that you normally see out of your team?
I think we've played better. I think played freer a little bit is what I would say, which is kind of contradictory to what you just said. You know what I mean? Of like the circumstances, but that's mental toughness, and like we have to grade that out, and you have to be able to focus on the task or focus on your job amidst all the other things going on like that. And baseball is just so different where a different guy is taking the mound every game, and that player has so much control of the outcome of the game. Like, you want to have momentum in baseball, have great starting pitching, and have 2 dudes at the back that can close games out. That's how you have momentum in baseball. In terms of like contagious hitting, definitely a real thing. I definitely believe in that. But that's rooted in, are you in the right frame of mind to take the at-bats that you need to sustain, good offense and momentum throughout the game. And we've had it at times, and it just hasn't come along against the best opponents enough, to be an elite team yet. The clock's not expired yet, and I've seen that happen with different players and different teams of when the light comes on. And, we're all trying to play our best, these last 10 and hopefully Hoover and then go from there.
I'm sure you were asked about it on Tuesday, but I wasn't there. Gavin getting some plate
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yeah.
The thought behind that, and does it help him on the mound at all?
Well, we were out of position players that could play. I didn't want to put Alex in the game. We're out of position players, and I didn't want Tommy to get hurt in a game where we were up 18 runs. And, I mean, it was really specific instructions like, hey, go out there. Do not run hard under any circumstance. Do not dive. I mean, he's a good athlete and good competitor. And I literally said to Jamie, it's like, I mean, the pitch was 66 miles an hour that he hit. I was like, he's going to hit a double down the line on the first pitch. And then, boom, hit a double down the line on the first pitch. And he would have been safe on the other one and would have been 2 for 2, but he followed instructions not to run hard. Could have helped him going forward. I think, anytime you just get in the competitor mindset, which he hadn't had an at-bat in I don't know how many months, I think that's a good thing. So can you take something like that and go like, hey, man, go pitch like that? Yeah, that could help him.
Is he a guy that's going to need to be useful?
100%. Yeah, 100%. He was great last Saturday night. Big reason we won the game. Striking out the first 3 hitters that he faced. And then he walked who I thought was their best guy, but it's a 2-2 game right there, and it's not a guy you want to give into and let him hit one in the seats at that point in time. So I thought he was good, and he's been great in this thing too. Of like he sits down at the front of the dugout, very engaged in the game, and I think I expect us to use him and him do well here down the stretch.
I know Mikey asked you about this, and I don't expect a great answer, but the Schlossnagel comments about maybe some team having a video feed of the other opposing dugout.
Yeah, I still don't know who or what that's referring to. I saw the deal in their weekend last weekend where some pitchers were putting something on the ball. So whether it's putting something on the ball or video in the dugout or iPads or the one thing for me, like I want to get the electronics out of the helmets. I want to get them completely off the offensive side of the ball. Like I think that's seriously messing with the integrity of what's happening. We've already sped up the game enough that if we want to do something like that's the thing that needs to get changed. Because we're basically turning everybody into what happened with the Major League Baseball a couple years ago. So
I feel like the front half of the season you guys were in games, and if there was one mistake, it just kind of snowballed. Mm-hmm. Especially as of late, it seems like there's been a shift. What do you think that is?
Yeah, I think just an understanding of here's how winning and losing has happened. It's a long time ago, but we were 16-2 and had won a couple games that it was 2-2 in the 5th or 6th inning. And, I think going through a stretch where I think we played number 2, number 3, or number 1 at the time, now number 2, number 3 on the road. Team you played for the national championship, Vanderbilt, in 4 consecutive weekends, and we lost some of those moments where it's 2 outs, like we got to get off the field. Like 2 outs, 2 strikes, 8th inning Vanderbilt, 9th inning. You flip those series, we're in a different boat right now completely. Arkansas, you're leading in the 4th or 5th inning, and that's middle of the game, so it's it's just that one more at bat that just you don't try to do too much and you stay within yourself, or that pitch to get us off the field. I mean, the frustrating one was the game 3 at Arkansas. I mean, we're ahead 4-1, with 2 outs, 2 strikes, nobody on base, and the game was tied by the time the inning finished. And so I think we've worked past, some of that, and that's a good thing. And, hopefully we can use that confidence, built from doing that last weekend to our advantage this weekend.
With Jared Jones, at least compared to some of his high school swings, it seems like he's just a lot more athletic in the box, and his stance. He's just how much does that sort of help him? Just being a little less upright and being a little more athletic. Yeah,
I think he's done a really good job, and what I mean by that, he came in and had a lot of success for a freshman in the SEC last year. From my vantage point, hitting 14 home runs, hitting 300. I think he hit 300 or 301 on a national championship team, playing, we'll call it 70% of the time or 75% of that entire season. It's a great season. And then he went to the Cape, and then in the fall, struggled a little bit, and then we just kind of kept working on it. I think for me, it's less mechanics and it's more like self-control. Like he doesn't let one bad pitch or one bad at bat affect the next one. And so he's more consistent in stepping in the box with a clear mind, seeing the ball, evaluating pitches, and he's so strong. If he's online and on time, there's where the power comes from. I think he has 18 or 19 home runs right now. And then, he's taking his walks, and, he's hit some balls hard, with runners on base, for singles. So I'm really pleased. He's the one guy that, I feel like has made a really positive step, in his game. And I think what you're talking about mechanically, it just allows him to be a little more consistent.
I heard you on the radio this morning talking about A&M's lineup and how, like, they get 100 home runs. I think you said when you get to the 7 guy, it's like Braden Joubert was your 7-hole guy last year. It's the same kind of challenging.
Yeah, it's length, it's deep. Power, leadoff spot. This guy's a 2-3 or 2 of the top 5 or 6 hitters in all of college baseball. Veteran hitter in the 4-hole, 5th-year player, I believe. 5th-year player in the 5-hole, 5th-year player in the 6-hole. And then, their shortstop, Camarillo, really good player in the 7-hole, good defensively, takes really good at bats. And then they have a freshman playing well that's kind of after all those old guys. And then Chestnut is another, I don't know if he's a 4th year, 5th year, but I think he's a senior. So it's a lot of college at bats with a lot of talent. And they are very locked into what they are doing. And so you can score, and that's when you have a great team, is like you feel like you can score 2 every inning. I'm sure that's the feeling that they have.
You mentioned the Nick Saban, I guess, quote about, instincts and trying to find that in players. When you're recruiting guys, how do you sort of evaluate that piece, especially when they're already facing competition that they should be dominating against?
Well, that's a good question, and it's tough because if they have that, at least in our sport, they are all, and they have the tangible talent stuff, then they're pushed up as a high pro prospect as well. Like, we may sign them, but we might not get them. In our 22 class, which would be sophomores right now, I mean, there's a couple guys that fit that bill. Tucker Tillman, Mikey Romero, Robbie Snelling. I mean, he's going to be in the major leagues this year, left-handed pitcher that we had signed. So that's the tricky part. Is like finding that impact, at this SEC level, impact quickly, but you get them to school, and so in terms of evaluating it, whether it's a guy plays another sport, has a competitive nature, family background, just a vibe that you get when you talk to them. Like, I'll use Guidry as an example. Like, the first day I met him and he walked in and sat on my couch, I was like, this dude's a good athlete, but I already know he's a really good competitor. Like, I mean, it didn't take me but 10 minutes of a conversation to figure that out.
Ethan Fry.
Well, the shoulder injury is an issue. I mean, it's an issue, and so he cannot play defense. He can only hit, and it hasn't really gotten better. Which is limited our ability to use him. And then when you're looking at the rest of the lineup, and I love playing him too. Like, that was super unfortunate when that happened. I don't know if you remember this, but he hit a bases clearing double in the first inning of that game with 2 outs, big hit. And then he singled the next at bat, I believe, and then that's when he dove back and hurt it. And it's too bad because it's just about like, hey man, we're going to start running this dude out here every single game. Well, then with how our team is set up, like with, Hayden has performed relatively well, like those DH at bats, it's hard to get them all in there. But, I really like him, and, I do believe he has a good future here and in baseball. And just that injury has prevented us from, maximizing those opportunities for him.
This 7-2 run today, as well as the last several days, it seems like from you and the players both, it's been a lot of process to sort of flip the results. I guess, despite where you guys were coming into this run, has it for you as the coach, has it been enjoyable to sink yourself really into that process and have your guys sort of sink themselves into it as well?
Well, we've always tried to do that, and like I said, I mean, it's not that long ago, even though it seems like a long time ago, we won the national championship, and then we were 16-2, and we'd won one of the premier tournaments in all of college baseball. And then, like I said, and I'll look at, big picture wise of how we do everything. I did that after last year, after we won, but like, I just think a lot of new players or returning players in roles that they weren't in, tough schedule, hit some adversity, didn't quite respond in a manner that is necessary to compete at the level that we want to compete at in those games. I think we've worked past some of that, but it's not like a aha moment. It's like a recommitment to do that every single day. But I do think I will tell you this is the whatever you want to call it, like the vibe around here is incredibly positive. Like everybody's engaged, everybody's working, everybody's supporting each other. You probably wouldn't know, that we're in the position we're in, and the players deserve a lot of credit for that. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.